That was your 2-minute warning. Sorry. Okay, we're a little short-handed in the leadership department here, but luckily I'm back, baby. That was way better. It went differently in my head, way worse than what I was thinking it was going to be. The score was a lot to a little against the number 23, now 20 ranked Minnesota Duluth, but the boy was big and did not let up a sack or a tackle. So tomorrow, noon, on your Roku station, the Peacocks go up against the Concordia St. Paul Bears, I think they are. So enjoy it. Oh, yeah, there's a meeting going on. Okay, forget. Let us, well, why don't we have John Selke? Let's lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. I ask you to put your hand over your heart. Veterans, please salute as we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, God, he's got a posse now. All right. And let's see, we've got Sean Parker here. Hi there. Can you lead us in the four-way pact. I'll have the courage to tell the whole truth. I'll be kind in the way I tell it. I'll be fair and not seek selfish advantage. I'll have an open heart and an open mind. And we do have Jack Lucas here. If you can bow your heads for an invocation.
Dear God, we give thanks for this beautiful day and for the guests that are with us. We ask a blessing on the Rotarians here and around the world and the projects that they're involved with. Bless this food and this meeting to our use. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. All right, you may be seated.
All right.
Rotary trading up.
Yeah, that's the one. I was just gonna go get it and bring it to
All right, it's a little crooked. Is that okay? Or just kidding?
It is. No, that's not.
That's scary. It's not a right angle, it's a wrong angle.
That's right.
Okay, while we are enjoying our soup, we can get a quick rundown of the meeting and do all kinds of things. We are going to introduce the guests that are here today. We do have a bunch, so that's awesome. We'll go through some Rotary news of the week and one from last week I know that Brian didn't get to. We'll do some club business and announcements. We do have our birthdays today. We got 3 of them. Yep. It's a good day for singing. So we'll have our, I think, very always exciting Queen of Diamonds, fun and frolic with your fun and friendly fine master. Of course, our guest speaker today from the Schaumburg Police Department. I know some of you got scared when you saw him come in, and he's not here for you yet. Exactly. So we're good. Yes. And then, of course, we'll end with the 4-way test. So we don't have numbers on the tables, which doesn't really matter because I couldn't see them anyway. But I'll start from my left and work my way to my right here. Look at that beautiful table of all smiling, happy Rotarians. Look at that. But right in front of me, we have got a guest at this table here. Alan, would you like to introduce the guest at your table?
Everybody has met Wendy before. We have been sponsored by Anderson, and soon hopefully can't say what she's going to do, say what number, but Wendy's here.
Very much. Very good. Let's take a look over here. Nope, but they are smiling, happy Rotarians. We have that corner over there is again somewhat smiling, little happy Rotarians, but right there behind us, right there, smack dab, right in the middle of the room, we have got, hopefully for the last week, very good. And then there in the corner, the last table we've got, not only do we have amazing, smiling, happy Rotarians, but we also have a couple of guests over there. Good. Oh, very good. Yeah. Oh, very good. Look at that. Guess. I love it. So we do have some Rotary news of the week in the world. Wherever there's, this is our Rotary president, and maybe Michael Erickson can scream out how to pronounce his name. Mr. President of Rotary, yes. What I like is the quote here: wherever there's a need, there are people of action who come up, find the need, and try to solve the problem. So he was featured in an article, and you'll get the link through the buzz. It's actually a pretty good article, talking about Rotary projects in the world. And whenever there's a need, people of action come up, I think of last year and the classic and putting together the videos for the classic. And that was the common theme throughout everything. There was a need, we followed it. Holly said it, Bruce said it, Eileen said it, everybody said it that was on that video. And so thought that was kind of neat. We also have Rotary news in the area. We are in an environmental phase. So as a reminder, the 3rd Saturday in September is World Cleanup Day. And the Fox River Rotary Club is going to be cleaning up the Fox River, putting on some galoshes and getting stuff out of the Fox River. And then this is Rotary news from last week that wasn't here. John Silkey sent this to me. How about that? Hanging out with, I guess, are they mini horses? You want to talk about this?
The pictures of me and other veterans at Soul Harbor Ranch in Barrington, where they have the comfort animals. It's free to everyone who wants to come out. The fourth Sunday of every month is for veterans. And my VFW post posted this, and you see it with another veteran who had a comfort dog, and I think next to him there are some ponies, and I did have one where I was actually making a horse smile by feeding him a pepper and stick.
Very good. All right, well.
Great group that we may want to support.
Very good. And yes, if you fed me a peppermint stick, I'd smile too. This week in Rotary, we did have the opportunity to head over to Keller Junior High. And the pictures are up everywhere, but I forgot to put it up there. But you could see on Facebook all the smiling, happy people that came out to Keller. And we presented them a check for $10,000. And then it was really cool because they left me with that big check, and I looked like Happy Gilmore with a check in my back seat. A few of you got that one. But also right here in the front is a sign that was made by the students thanking us for our contribution and keeping that going. And it was brought up a couple of times that they're bringing in free food during the pandemic. We're continuing this so that once they stop doing that, we are going to continue, doing it. It's really beneficial. And if you ever want to hear how that benefits, a kid that comes in on a Monday after his parents were separated and argued and everything like that, and didn't eat because nobody was home, and just being able to pick from food from that breakfast, it's the first smile he had in a few days. So that's what Mr. Barbini, the president, was telling me that story on something that happened recently. So, all right, let's turn it around. I was getting choked up here. I'm not crying, you're crying. We're going to be doing happy dollars. Now, who is happy? Look at all these smiling, happy hands are raised and everything like that. Nanette, I think I'm going to start with you.
Okay, I have $20. It's because I was so happy that yesterday, quite a few of the men, unfortunately, no women, from our club played in the SLSF Arlington Rotary Golf outing. So thank you so much for supporting Rotary and SLSF, my old agency. And the $17 other dollars are for the 17 wonderful years that I've been a member of this club, because today is my last day here. Circumstances have come up in my life, and it's just too hard for me to spend the 45 minutes it takes me to get here. And so it's just, I watched my mother, and I can't leave her alone. So I'm going to hopefully be able to join the Buffalo Grove Club, which takes me 6 minutes to get to. So I will be coming to visit sometimes, but it's just not, this travel is just not working with the 95-year-old mother. So it's not any of you. I will miss all of you incredibly.
Well, don't sit down. You're the collector now. All right, now that we got that out of the way, real happy dollars once again.
So Cheryl convinced me on Sunday that we needed a bunch of new shrubs. So we went to Plant Nursery in Bloomingdale. And so we got there and we got all this stuff. And I said, well, what want to get next week? And the lady goes, no, you guys buy today. It's just going to sit here for another week. Just take it home with you today. So besides, this is a pocket balloon stuff. So when you get there, you spin the wheel and they give you something. So the guy before me spins the wheel, or they have one of the ladies spin the wheel, and says 15% off your whole purchase. So well, that was kind of nice. So the lady spins for me, says free up to $200. Our cart was $175.
So he's giving it all to the happy dollars. No, I don't think so. That's not the truth. Ted.
Monday weekend, I was doing some yard work, And about 2 o'clock on Sunday, Saturday, I decided I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go watch the Illinois game, turn it on the TV. It wasn't on until 6:30. I yelled upstairs to my wife, who's been bugging me to take the kids to see the game. I said, "You want to go to Champaign?" So we all got in the car. We drove down. Saw a great game. They did lose, but it went down to the very last play and a throw to the end of the end zone. And not unlike Mike, we had done an estimate booking on Booking.com for a $500 hotel room that we got for $200, but then they overbooked and we got there and they didn't have one, so we ended up getting a free hotel room at a different hotel.
Wow. And he's donating all of that to Happy Dollars. No, he's not. No, just kidding. Back here with Nancy. Let's see what kind of deals she got this past week. Cool. Other Happy Dollars? Got some good ones, John.
Yep. Unfortunately, I don't think the person I'm going to donate this for is here today, but we, as Rotary, should be very proud of Dick Fabrini. Running the marathon, here's $26 for the marathon.
Oh, very good. Just a quick little check. It was a triathlon. So I guess it's still 26. It works, but I guess the nephew over here. The nephew over here had to correct you. I just got to make sure, Yeah. Whew. All right, let's get us back on track. Any more Happy Dollars? Let's get the guy with the hat first.
Sorry about the hat. I've been moving because I'm your neighbor now. Appreciate that. So $5 for that. I'm playing Medina next week. And I'm going to see a concert.
Very cool. And that's my weekly reminder that you can still do Happy Dollars and fines online and get it, taking care of it on your credit card. So now we got cash over here. Gene?
I got $5 cash for my friend Annette, who has done a lot for this club. Thank you so much.
And we have Holly. Same. Ditto.
You made all this
All right, we got to end on happy. Here we go. Peter.
Yeah, I had happy week and a half ago. I had a birthday on the 28th, and I got to see the Boomers play, and they won their division. Hopefully next week they'll start. Thank you.
Nice job. Julie's got some happies.
I do. I have $10 happy dollars. I too am going to really miss you, and I'm sorry this is your last day, but I'm just really happy to be here. I promise you all that I'm still very engaged in Rotary, even though I haven't been here. But I miss you all, and it's great to see your face.
Ooh. Anyone else? All right. Yes. Hi, Wendy.
This past week, my husband and I celebrated our 22nd wedding anniversary, so that was a very happy week.
Very nice. Oh, I love all the happiness. Happy. Anyone else? All right, let's do our club business and announcements. What do we got going on here? What are we in the home stretch for? I really can't remember. I'm not really sure. Not
Almost.
positive.
Another month. We have like another month, guys, and 3 weeks, right? I think it's 3 weeks. So this is the final stretch of the vacation raffle. So we're a little slow in collecting tickets. I'm expecting a flood at the end. And I need more help than just 2 people at the Platts concert on Saturday and Sunday. Folks, I can't do this all alone. I can't leave the table alone and go out in the thing. So I really do desperately need some help. So I'm going to pass this around again, and hopefully there will be a few more names. Thanks. That's it.
So with the very sad departure of Nanette Sola, who has been a fabulous member and a very contributing member of our club,
there is an opportunity for everybody in this club to join the buzzers. So we're going to need one more person to every third week, the third week of every month to report what happens at our meetings. If you're interested, please let me know. Thank you.
Here comes Nancy.
Okay, just want to remind you who have signed up about the Platts concert tonight. Gail has a reserved section for us and it'll be under the tent. So just look for us all there. It starts at 5 o'clock. And if somebody didn't sign up and still wants to come, I'm sure there's room for you. So come on out.
Any other announcements? Any other announcements? See, it's loud enough up here. I can hear everything. So if you can't hear me back there or can't hear anybody, just let us know. Exactly. I knew there was one. I thought it was going to come from him, but he's not paying attention. So, all right, we got birthdays and none of them are here. So we'll do that next week. The Queen of Diamonds is not here somewhere. Yeah, it's somewhere. All right. So let's go to it. Go to the picker wheel. Here we go. It's all there. Look at that. 240 names there. 240. I did send my Excel sheet to Brian, and a few of you had a couple of extra. You're welcome for the last couple of weeks because I screwed up, but he fixed it. So you don't have those extra. Now we're going to spin. Did we find it? All right, good. Here we go. Round and round, where it stops, nobody knows. And it's, and if I recall, in this particular case, Nancy Redmond gets to choose the number in proxy for Brian Burke. Are you doing the knife? All right. I have a feeling that Wes is going to just get this thing done in seconds flat. He's going to show both me and Brian that we don't know how to work the knife as well as he does. And it has a lot to do with him wearing the hat, and then he put it backwards. You know he's getting serious right now.
Ace.
He's got that hat. Oh, it's an ace.
Ace of spades.
Ace of spades.
Yeah.
Ace of spades. Womp, womp, womp. Enjoy your meal. See you in a bit.
Are you just visiting or do you need your? Yes. Chris, have you done one?
I met him day one. I met him
Sept comes out, she's wrong. Take the field apart, but this is how I make it. I said it really like that. She works down.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring you back up here so that we can bring up, and let's remind everybody, we've got that dollar guy out there. He's got all those dollars fanned out, so you might as well get yours ready to go. This is a major fundraiser for us here. You think the Classic generates some fundraising? The Classic is nothing compared to when Alan gets on a roll at one particular meeting and just starts finding everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Gate.
Well, Tom, that's quite an introduction. I hope I can live up to the notoriety. When I walked in here, I had nothing on my sheet. So we're going to start out with easy ones, okay? Because some of you are still, digesting your food, and some of you are still napping. So if you don't have a guest at your table, I need some bag people. Mike Pergin, would you be a bag person? Glenn, would you mind being a bag person back there? Wes, why don't you be a bag person? I'm not going to have a bag person over here, but stand near this table. If you don't have a guest at your table, you should pay $2 fine, okay? And if the person who you think is a guest at your table is being inducted today, he's not a guest. Okay, so you don't have to pay a fine for that, okay? Well, he is a guest then, so you have to pay a fine since he's not being inducted. So you talked yourself out of it, Terry. And he used to be a state representative. Okay, so everybody who's not wearing, since I'm at that table, Gene, would you stand up, please? So I want everybody to know that Gene wore this shirt in case all the lights went out, so we could still all see. So Gene, thank you very much. Keeping the electric bill down, pay $2. Since there are some chauvinists in this club, and I'm not going to mention who they are, if you don't have a woman sitting at your table, that'll be $2. You know, it is summer. It's a beautiful day outside. So if you're wearing a sweatshirt, you have to pay $2. So Tim, I was going to fine you today as your first fine as a new member, so I won't, but I'm going to fine you because I can't fine you. So that'll be $2. Rosemary, you introduced Pete as a member of the Police and Fire Commission, but doesn't Pete have another designation that would kind of be interesting to the people in this room? And what is that? And you didn't say that. Okay, so I'm going to fine you $5 for not introducing him as past president of the AM Club, but I'm going to give you a reprieve of $3 because you have to be married to him. So that'll be $2. If you are a former Rotarian who is at the meeting today, even though I don't find guests usually, right? Right? So if you're a former Rotarian and you're at the meeting today, and you're sitting between two people who keep nagging you to come to the meetings, why don't you pay $5, Randy?
I gotta say something about that.
Okay, go ahead. Take your wallet, take your checkbook out.
I've always said this was a fine group to be part of. That's because they fine you for everything.
I like that, and you know what? I'm going to steal it. So if anybody's wearing a hat indoors and they're not an Orthodox Jew, that'll be $2. If you're sitting at a table and someone at your table has a uniform on, you should pay $2. It'll be a uniform fine for everybody at that table. And as you know, as Tom said, you know, I'm trying, our budget is down, Daryl. So am I interrupting you? I'll wait. Okay, fine. So if you do not have a past district governor sitting at your table, that'll be $2. So, and it's not that if you were married to a past district governor, that doesn't give you a pass, Nancy. It has to be the past district governor. So they have this event tonight, the Platts, what's it called? Yeah, Platts concert. And Holly has been begging people to sign up to help her. She's doing an outstanding job, and I'll get to you in a minute, Holly. If you have not signed up to help Holly at the Platts concert tonight, she's going to Platts. That's a Yiddish term, which means she's going to faint. So it'll be $2 for everybody who's not signing up for that. Sean, $5. Your phone went off. You know better. Welcome back from Montana, big sky country. So Nanette, I'm not going to find you, but I think, you know, for four-way test, is it the truth? You said you're leaving and it had nothing to do with any of the people in here. Do you really mean that? Come on. You don't? Okay, fine. Mike, how much happy hours did you pay? How much did you save?
Well, that's a partial saving. It doesn't last long.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. How much did you save? Okay, so why don't you round it up to $7? Give him another $2. Ted, how much did you save?
I'm with him. We spent it all at the campus bookstore.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. How much did you save? Oh, just round, I don't care. Round it up for another $2. If you have not reached out to a fellow Rotarian this past week who's for something other than Rotary, shame on you. $2. If you have not turned in your tickets from the vacation drawing, that's $5. Told you it was going to be much. And people, believe it or not, Holly said the R word. but I'm going to give you a pass because of all the hard work that you're doing with this and not people aren't helping you. And Chris, where is he? Wait, Mexican jumping beans in your pants? You're jumping back and forth between tables? Okay, that'll be $2. Okay, fine. So I was going to give a quiz, a real quick quiz. As most of you know, there's a place in Schaumburg called Woodfield Mall. So it's celebrating its 50th anniversary. So who here can tell me what the first year Woodfield Mall opened up? Glenn? Okay, anybody who didn't answer that question before Glenn, that'll be $2. What was the first year they broke ground? Was it 1968, 1969, 1960, 1970? I'm not an accountant. 68, 69, 70. How many people think they broke ground in 1968? Raise your hand. How many people think it was 1969? How many people think it was 1970? Ladies and gentlemen, it was 1969. So if you didn't say that, it's $2. Now, how many people in this room know where they got the name Woodfield? Okay. 1, 2, okay. Raise your hand if you know. I'm going to have Gene be your spokesperson. Why? What's the name Woodfield?
It's named Woodfield because Robert Woods was the president, I think, of Sears, and then there's Field for Michael Field, the two anchors of it.
Everybody will raise their hand. Did you all know that? If you didn't raise your hand, shame on you. That'll be $2. Everybody have a great weekend and stay safe and healthy.
Well, there was just a few of us that weren't born, or some of us that were in utero at that time. So I suppose you got to look in those books again, huh? All right, all the murmuring, the excitement from the happy finds. I'm like making stuff up here. That's how much fun I'm having. I'm just going to start making stuff up, which allows me to bring up our presenter today. Mary Jo Shepard has been doing a great job, and we've got a great lineup, and today's no exception. She arranged Chief Wolf to come up, talk to us about Schaumburg and the safety and anything else you guys can think of. He's ready for it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a nice welcome to Chief Wolf. Schaumburg, please.
Well, thank you very much. Actually, I didn't know I had the opportunity to potentially bring a PowerPoint. Otherwise, I probably would have bored you with that. But sometimes I think it's better if I just kind of talk off the cuff and not script it with a PowerPoint. And that way, also, I'm good if anybody has questions. Usually, when I speak to groups like this, we spend just as much time, with me answering questions about the police department than, any information that I could possibly give you. But I'll give you a little bit of background on Schaumburg Police Department. We have currently right now about 115 sworn officers. And so that's 115 full-time sworn officers serving a population of 75,000 people. So, that ratio isn't really all that great for us in terms of, dealing with it. And that's why we really depend on our community and all of you to help us, police this community. And that's what it's really about. We do actually have 50 auxiliary officers that work part-time. That's something that's kind of unique to Schaumburg. There's very few police departments that have, part-time or auxiliary staffs that are that large. In addition to that, we also have about another 65 civilian employees that are in all kinds of various roles, whether it be in a records division, in animal control, forensic technicians, all kinds of things like that. The actual police department is, the structure is, myself as chief, and then we have a deputy chief who kind of oversees the operations, the day-to-day operations of the department. And those operations are divided into three divisions. We have an investigation division, we have a patrol division, and we have a special operation division. The special operation division is comprised of our TAC unit, which is officers that are out there dealing with, things like prostitution, any type of vice type crimes they deal with. We also have our traffic unit that's part of that division. Animal control falls under that, and so a lot of the kind of specialty areas of the police department fall under that special operations division. And then investigation division also encompasses our school resource officers. We have an officer at Schaumburg High School, and we have officers that are spread between all the middle schools and also kind of service our elementary schools for District 54. That's kind of the basics of the police department and how that is set up. Any question? I guess I'll start there. Any questions about kind of the makeup of the police department? Yeah.
I always see cars on them that say Schaumburg Police Auxiliary, and I've never seen that in any other township before. What do those people do, and what help do they bring?
Yes. So we have, like I mentioned, we have about 50 auxiliary officers, and they're all part-time officers. So they do things like parking control is one of their primary duties. They will assist working, our front desk and some of the interactions we have with the community, people coming in, wanting to make police reports and things like that. They will do like village hall security. At times they'll do traffic control. If we have an accident where the scene's going to need to be held for quite a long time, the auxiliaries will come there and do, kind of the longer term traffic control. And so they're kind of there as a backup and a utility for our officers. But again, that is something, like I said, it is very unique to Schaumburg and a great resource we have because, not only do we have, 75,000 people approximately live in this community, but as you all know that during the day and particularly in the evening, our population just absolutely balloons. And so we need to have some flexibility to really staff up during those hours and then be able to really staff back down, in the evening where, Schaumburg, kind of becomes, almost like a bedroom community, after, about 10, 11 o'clock at night. So it goes from a very busy community to a very slow community, after, the later hours. So that definitely gives us some flexibility there. Yeah.
Is there a Police Explorer program for kids?
So we do not have a Police Explorer program. Now, we do quite a few community outreach programs. We have one of the things that I encourage everybody to do is we have a Citizen Police Academy, and I know there's a few people that I've met here that have been through that we do twice a year. Actually, we have a class starting next week. So that's already full, but definitely something we recommend doing in the future. Every month we do a program called Chat with the Brass, where myself and the command staff, are just open for anybody from the community to meet with us. Right, lately we've been doing it virtually. At some point we want to go back to doing that in person, but that's open for anybody to attend to, ask us questions, voice concerns, everything where, they have access right to the entire command staff of the police department. And then we do a lot of other community outreach programs. We long-term, we do want to get an Explore program. And for those of you that may not know what an Explore program is, it's a program for people that want to become police officers, and they kind of work as, start, as young as like 12, 13 years of age, and then work kind of hand in hand with the police department and learn the job. They're also can be used for doing things like traffic control and special events and things like that. And that's something, I came from Elgin. We had a very active Explorer program, and a lot of those officers or a lot of those explorers ended up becoming police officers in Elgin or other communities. Actually, we even have some Elgin explorers that have become Schaumburg police officers. So definitely something long-term that we want to do. But right now, in terms of a youth program, one of the things that falls under the police department is that Schaumburg has had a teen center for many years. We recently partnered with the Boys and Girls Club and are working on getting the Boys and Girls Club very active in providing resources to youth in the community that may not have a place to go, and they help with homework and give them vocational opportunities and a lot of things like that. So that's where we're spending a lot of time right now in terms of a youth initiative. Yeah.
What makes your job difficult right now, and what can an organization like us do to advocate and support for whatever it is that is making your job tough?
So, right now there's I guess there's been a lot of things recently. I mean, just watch the news a lot, and you see a lot of things that have made, our job, tough. I think probably the number one thing is just making sure we have a lot of advocates for our elected officials. There was recently, criminal justice reform that was passed, and I think most law enforcement officers, particularly those of us that are leading police departments, believe that there was some reform that needed to happen. And so there's parts of those reform the reform bills that are out there that I think are very good things. But the fact of the matter is, most professionally run police departments like Schaumburg have been doing the things that are included in that bill for many years. I mean, that's just been part of our way of doing business. But unfortunately, there's aspects of the bill that just went way too far, and is going to make it a lot more difficult for us to be able to do our jobs, to be able to prosecute, criminals and people that are truly bad people that are coming into our community. And so I think the number one thing is just, be advocates for us with your elected officials. And then, the other thing, where we are, the reason why we're doing this partnership with the Boys and Girls Club is because, that's really where, we see the biggest opportunity for us to make a difference in terms of people not getting involved in crimes. It's getting, youth at an early age, intervention. And so donating and being involved in those types of activities, Boys and Girls Club or other youth organizations. I know when you mentioned the $10,000, for, the breakfast program at Keller, things like that, really do make a big difference in a lot of ways, beyond, just the obvious, for us, in law enforcement as well. So it's a good question. Yeah.
Have you had any situations in the Schaumburg Police Department that you've had to deal with officers abusing their power? Have you had to deal with those challenges in the Schaumburg Police Department?
So is probably many of you that have been around the Schaumburg community for a while know that, and this was before I was here, there were 3 Schaumburg police officers that were arrested for selling drugs and doing some pretty bad things. This was back, I think, 2012. And so that was a big black eye in the Schaumburg Police Department for quite a few years, and something that, to this day, there's people that know that, where if they're upset about something, and I'm having a conversation with them, that, people still say, hey, you have a bunch of drug dealer officers, or so, it's hard when you have bad apples to get by that. But one of the things too that I think is important to point out is that, so many of those situations where there are bad officers, the majority of the time they're arrested or, whatever, disciplined or whatever else by the police department or other law enforcement agencies. In the case of, those officers in Schaumburg, that was the DEA and some other local law enforcement agencies that, ran that sting to stop those officers from doing what they were doing. And I could tell you, over my career, I spent, the majority of my career I spent in Elgin, and we had some, bad apples and fired some officers. And, I was involved in 2 situations where we criminally charged 2 of our officers. And so, contrary to popular belief, I think we do a pretty good job of policing ourselves. And I think that it's evident in examples like that happen time and time again, where we discipline and criminally charge our own officers that cross that line. And, thankfully, since I've been in Schaumburg, we routinely have, like any organization, we have minor disciplinary issues. And, I've had to suspend some officers, or, written reprimands, things like that, are things that happen. But luckily, with most of our officers, they're mistakes that were unintentional in most cases, and they're learning experiences. And we try to make, as much as possible, those be learning experiences. So they move on and continue to be good, productive police officers the rest of their career. But that is a very good question. Yeah.
This is the 50th anniversary of Whitfield, and for those of us that have been around Schaumburg for a long time, Whitfield used to be the center for a lot of police activity, a lot of crime activity. Is that still the case, or has that calmed down, or what's the situation there now?
So that is still the case. It's the we have, so Schaumburg, we have 10 10 beats that Schaumburg is divided into. Whitfield Mall is its own beat by itself. And that beat by itself is still during the daytime hours and in the early evening hours, that is still the busiest beat in the community. After the mall closes, it's the slowest beat, obviously, but a lot of that is there in terms of the crimes and things that occur there. Whitfield Mall is still a very safe place to be. Not only do we have a continuous presence there, they have very good security. We work very well with their security, and most of the things there are simple. The majority of the crimes there are just simple retail thefts. A lot of youth, stealing. Actually, when you look at the top locations where we have retail thefts there, the number one locations are areas or stores that sell makeup, smaller items and things like that. So it's busy, and it's like it's a focal point for crime, but it's a lot of minor retail theft type crime. Yeah.
I'm gonna guess that when an officer goes out on a call, they don't always know what they're going to be facing. And I'm wondering how officers are prepared to deal with the mental health issues that they witness or deal with when they're responding to call.
So I guess a few things with that, and it's interesting because I was going to talk about the makeup of the police department, and then I had some other subjects I was gonna hit on, but these questions are kind of hitting on these different areas because I want to talk about use of force, but also wanted to talk about mental health because that's a big area that we have dealt with, and things in an area where law enforcement, I think, has really progressed very well over the last few years. So a couple things with that. First of all, we have 3 full-time social workers that work for the police department that are there to assist our officers with mental health type situations. And additionally, every single one of our officers is trained in what's called CIT, or critical incident team training, where they receive it's actually a 40-hour, 1-week training class where they receive training on how to deal with people. First of all, how to identify mental illness, all the various forms and ways that mental illness present itself, and then not only do they learn how to deal with it, they're also required to go through scenarios and tested on handling those situations. They have part of that training is they have people that not only have had or suffer from mental illness, but also have had positive and negative interactions with the police, come in and talk, and are part of the scenarios that the officers have to go through. And they're, the ones that, judge the officer's performance in a lot of those scenarios. So the training is gone a long way. We also, when I started in law enforcement, I don't even know if I knew what the term or had heard the term de-escalation was. I know obviously you hear that constantly now, and it's something that we train specifically. But truthfully, police officers have been utilizing de-escalation tools for years. And it's something that I know good police departments like Schaumburg, our officers, even if we never train de-escalation, 90% of the time, their goal is to de-escalate situations. It just is kind of a natural thing that happens. Some people are better than others. And that's why, we do so much training, because we're trying to make the officers that are not as good better. But that is a big part of our job as well. And with that, what I was going to mention also, I guess, that kind of leading into the use of force type things, a lot of the criminal justice reform has been around use of force and use of force issues. And I think there's a perception out there that police officers are, routinely using force and using force at higher levels in the community. And when I was in Elgin, one of my early jobs in the police administration was to oversee our use of force training, our use of force monitoring, and we had a very detailed system. Every time any officer used force, they were required to complete a detailed report that talked about why they used the force, what force was used, was it successful, any injuries that occurred, all the demographics on the officer, and then the people that were involved in the situation. We would review, body worn camera video, in-car video. And so every one of those use of force situations would not only be, part of a big overall analysis, but they'd all be investigated. And just to give you an example, so, when I came to Schaumburg, I was happy that Schaumburg was already doing detailed analysis, and we made it even better But just to give you some rough numbers, and these were very similar numbers to what we saw in Elgin, and when we've done some benchmarking, very similar to numbers we've seen in other similar size, similar situated professional police departments, where we run about 50,000 calls of service per year here, which is a pretty busy police department. Out of those 50,000 calls, we use force on about 0.02% of those calls for service. If you look at arrests, we make about 2,000 arrests per year. Out of those arrests, we only use force on about 2% of total arrests that we do. And the majority of the force that's used are very low levels. So even if an officer has to, manipulate somebody's arm, or do a like an arm bar move or something like that, maybe just nothing more than take somebody to the ground, that's counted as a use of force. We also document show of force. So our officers carry tasers. Even if they never use the taser, but they display the taser, threaten to use the taser, they have to document that. And so even with that, only 2% of our arrests have any use of force involved. And the majority of those use of forces are at very low levels. I mean, on a given year, Schaumburg, officers, have not, discharged their firearm at another human being in many, many years. And even taser use, we only use our tasers, actually deploy the taser on somebody, 5 or less times in an entire year. And so the amount of force that's used here is extremely low. And when force is used, it's investigated, by supervisors, and that investigation is sent through the entire chain of command. And we look holistically at all our use of force every year just to see what more can we do in terms of training, in terms of equipment, to decrease our force even more. So, yeah.
How confident are you that you're capturing 100% of those events?
So, that's a good question. And it's something that I know we've been asked before, is that, how do we know that officers aren't using force and just not documenting it? And to a certain extent, that is somewhat, we have policies in place and it's a requirement to do, but it is possible an officer could use force and not document it. The thing with that is that, somebody uses force and not document it, that's pretty significant discipline. We have a clear-cut policy and rules on that. And again, if we found out somebody didn't document use of force, there'd probably be, serious suspension, if not them losing their job. I mean, that's how serious it is. So yeah, could it happen? Absolutely. Long-term, right now, our officers are required, anytime that they're using force anywhere near a vehicle, they're required to activate their in-car video and microphones. And then, next, going into our 22-23 budget, we'll likely be getting body cameras. So, yep. Yes.
There's been an increase of hate crimes throughout the nation. How is that happening in Schaumburg also? I was at a seminar yesterday, which was just horrific. So what's going on with hate crimes in this area?
Yeah, we have been fortunate that we have not had a lot of hate crimes, and the few that we've had have been very minor in nature. We've had a couple incidents in the last year where people have spray painting graffiti that were racist type graffiti or things like that. That's been the extent of things that we've seen so far. So yeah. Yes.
I can say you hit it. I think that unfortunately the big media coverage of certain events overblows the perceived problem. Statistically, year after year shows it's not really a problem. But my bigger issue is the reform that this state did was so overreaching. Are you having any issues with people in your, particularly now that they're subject to easily subject to personal liability, thinking about early retirement and or having trouble recruiting officers?
So
to me, that is a major problem for that bill.
Yeah, and the answer is yes to both. Pete Justin was one of our fire and police commissioners, and he knows how many people we've hired in the last year. And so, I don't know what it's been probably in the last year, good 15 officers that we've had to hire to replace officers that have retired. So we have a very young police department now, and that's also a concern because I know how much I improved as a police officer from being a very starting out as a very immature 21-year-old as a police officer, and I look back at just the mistakes I made as a young new police officer. And so it's really required us to make sure that, our supervisors are very involved in all of our calls for service and things like that. But I know that's a little bit beyond your question, but yes, we've been hiring. Hiring's been difficult. The number of people that we've been getting in our tests. I mean, Pete knows that we used to get 400 or 500 people sometimes, in line. Sometimes I think that they would limit the number of applications that they would hand out to maybe 400 or 500 people, a couple hundred people. Now, we're lucky if we get 100, right? I think our last testing was a little better.
Well, don't forget, we changed our policy from associate's degree to bachelor's degree.
Yes.
So we elevated that right there. So years ago. Our department still has an associate's.
That's a very good point. And that requiring a bachelor's degree makes it even more difficult, for us to recruit. But I will say, even though it's been difficult, when you have a community like Schaumburg and a police department, a large police department, professional police department, there's a lot of people that still want to become Schaumburg police officers. So we're lucky in that respect. But comparatively, the numbers of candidates that we're receiving is down, compared to the way it was, years ago. Yeah. Yep. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, this kind of speaks to that. And it's an opinion question. Schaumburg is a fairly diverse city.
Mhm.
Does the police department exhibit that a similar diversity? And if it does or doesn't, do you think that would help with policing?
So I would say that I know that most police departments, that is a goal, for us to better, represent our community. Compared to many police departments, I think Schaumburg has a fairly diverse police department, especially, lately. And Pete and the other commissioners are a big part of, that hiring process that has been bringing us more, diverse officers. But it is still something that we are working on. We have the hiring process is handled by the Fire and Police Commission, and that's something that's a little bit different here in Schaumburg. That in Elgin and in a number of other places, the police department itself is more involved in the hiring process. Here, Pete and the Fire Police Commissioners are, pretty much 100% responsible for that hiring process. Where we do take a role is we do a lot of recruiting. So we've been actively recruiting, particularly, with Schaumburg, we have a very large Asian and in South Asian population. And so that's where we've been trying to do more recruiting.
Maybe
Yes, sir.
One question.
Okay.
And Terry Park has an answer.
I would like to say on behalf of myself, I can't speak right here, but I think we appreciate what you're doing for us. Regardless of what the media says, we want you to protect us. We share that we are very appreciative of the professional police force that you put out every day for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's nice, and that means a lot. And that's the thing, that we are very lucky to have a very supportive community here in Schaumburg. And I'll just tell you that we do not. I mean, it does not go unappreciated. I mean, it is big time appreciated.
Chief, would you remind everybody of the Memorial Day?
Yep. So tomorrow we are doing a memorial ceremony in remembrance of 9/11. It's in front of the police station and right next to the fire station there on Schaumburg Road, where there's a memorial, a police and fire memorial. At 8:30 in the morning, we're going to be doing a ceremony. The ceremony it's only going to be about 20 minutes, but if you could join us, we'd really appreciate it, and it'll mean a lot to remember those people that lost their lives on 9/11.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
We got a small gift from Gigi's, one of our charities that we work with. It's a coffee mug that
Awesome.
you'll be the envy of the whole staff.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I would like to inform the people here that Martin J. Conroy was the first police chief in this club. And he somehow, we called him Andy Taylor. Right from Mayberry. get stuff done that was remarkable. And we actually bought, our first big project was a rolling, I think we called it rolling, evidence van. And that's what they use to go out to a problem and take all of the stuff. So if you like NCIS and all that kind of stuff, it was done here a long time ago and really well. It was done here.
Very good.
And I'll say that to this day, Schaumburg Police Department is known for having one of the best forensic teams in the entire area. So that's carried out.
Great stuff. Very good. Very good. And luckily they didn't call him Barney Fife. Next week we've got another special meeting. We're going to have our district governor, Kevin Stevens, will be here to do his presentation. A quick reminder that he will also be at the board meeting, which is at 10:30 next week for the board. So we will try to get our stuff done quickly so that Kevin can talk with us as a board as well. So with that, let's see. Well, Julie Clark, would you like to lead us in the four-way test?
My pleasure. The four-way test are the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? I do have a quote today. It's from Helen Keller, and since we gave so much to Keller Junior High. Alone we could do so little. Together we can do so much. Sounds like Rotary, right? Excellent. So get out there, sell those tickets this weekend. It was not named after. I was surprised too. I was shocked and appalled. But it was Helen Keller. And with that, have a great week. Who is doing the buzz today? Thank you. I'll send you this.